Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim and good evening. Today we'll be discussing about the foreign policy of Pakistan. In fact, we are entering into 2026 and the whole last year was a very, from international perspective, from security perspective, from defense perspective, from the foreign policy perspective, Pakistan was very prominent, in fact. So I am a very senior diplomat, in fact, a politician, diplomat turned politician, and then a diplomat. I have His Excellency Sardar Masood Khan, former ambassador to the China, United States, United Nations, and he also remained the president of AGK. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for your precious time this evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
Please tell me that the UAE president was here, and how you see Pakistan relations with UAE as well as the other GCC countries.
Well, UAE is an important strategic and political partner of Pakistan in the region, and we have worked together for years. There's trust between the two countries, and also we've been deepening our economic ties. We have certain linkages, specific linkages, very important linkages between the two countries. About 1.5 million Pakistanis work and live in UAE, and UAE has been investing heavily in Pakistan. So we also had defense ties between the two countries. In fact, the Air Force of Pakistan trains UAE pilots. So in addition to that, we have common shared faiths. UAE and Pakistan are very, very important members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and we also cooperate with each other at the United Nations. So there's several linkages between the two countries. Therefore, in that context, this visit is very important. The importance of this visit increases because it comes after the May war between India and Pakistan early this year, of course, and then the very devastating war between Israel and Iran and United States and Iran, because this affected the entire region, particularly the Gulf countries, because you would recall that Qatar was also a base, American base in Qatar was also attacked, which made the entire Gulf cooperation region very, very vulnerable. UAE has another distinction that it has signed Abraham Accord, which was proposed and propounded by President Trump. So I think that Pakistan, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Turkey, other countries are involved in this exercise to usher in peace and security in the Middle East, particularly in Palestine and the Gaza. And so we can have conversations on that subject because after the implementation of the 20-point formula presented by President Trump, at least its first phase, things are not looking good because the Israeli government and Israeli leadership, they are establishing illegal settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory. And they are doing so to block any possibility of the creation of a two-state solution. So I think this is the entire context, and the UAE has also been helping us in difficult times, for instance, during the 2022 floods. Also, usually when IMF seeks guarantees, it talks to three important countries in the Gulf region, and this is Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar. So I think that's the whole context, and this is an opportunity for Pakistan to strengthen our ties with the UAE to attract more investment to Pakistan.
Since we have mentioned the May conflict between Pakistan and India, and that in fact has reshaped Pakistan foreign policy, uh, the military diplomacy that we are following after that, do you think that we were successful in materializing all those goodwill and good gestures, not only by the Middle Eastern countries, but the rest of the world?
Let's do the rest of the world first. I mean, of course, we saw the demonstration of military diplomacy in action in Washington, in the White House. President Trump received Field Marshal Hassan Munir and hosted him at the White House, and this was unprecedented in the history of American presidencies. So this was a new normal, so to say. And since then, President Trump has been praising Field Marshal Hassan Munir. He's also been praising Pakistan's political leadership, particularly the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So there's a new bond between Pakistan and the United States. And I would say that military diplomacy and political diplomacy have been going forward in tandem, that there has been no exclusivity to any kind of diplomacy. And I think that the leaders here consult with each other, but when they go abroad, they have the same talking points. And the central talking point is that Pakistan should become stronger militarily, and it should become a prosperous nation. Its economic growth should pick up pace. So I think that military diplomacy has been effective. The Chief of Army Staff, who is now the Chief of Defense Forces, during the year, he visited Beijing. In addition to, of course, Washington that I mentioned, he was in the United States twice, but in Beijing, and he was received by the Chinese leadership with warmth, demonstrating trust between our two countries. And quickly thereafter, our Prime Minister was there. He met the President of China and also the Prime Minister, his counterpart. Both these Prime Ministers launched CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor 2.0, which means there were many misgivings that if we are getting too close to Washington, D.C., then there would be resentment in Beijing. There was no resentment. In fact, we went a step further, inaugurated the second phase of CPEC, and also signed memoranda of understanding for another additional amount of 10 billion for multiple projects. So, but let me quickly move to the Gulf region. This is very important. The Gulf saw one of the most devastating clashes or war in the recent past. And Pakistan played the role of a mediator. Saudi Arabia had made some demands to the United States, and they were not forthcoming. But it was the desire of all the people of the Islamic countries, all the members of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, that the genocide in Gaza should come to an end. Pakistan played a proactive role and collaborated with Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and Turkey and other countries, and persuaded President Trump to play his role in putting an end to this war. And he came up with a formula, and that formula, as I mentioned, has been implemented partially, at least the first phase. There is a ceasefire of sorts, though Israeli troops are still in Gaza. They occupied 54% of the territory. So I would say that Pakistan's diplomacies, both prongs, military and political, have been quite successful.
Well, first, I would like that you must throw some kind of light and the experience that you have how we can have a balance between the Washington and the Beijing, because there are certain analysis in the media that Pakistan is going too close to the Americans, and Chinese may be a bit disturbed about it. What is your analysis? How we can make a balance?
Well, we can't make a balance between these two superpowers. As a matter of fact, United States is the strongest nation even today, but China is catching up, and they have very good relations. I mean, not good relations. There's hostility between the two countries, and there are many misunderstandings between the two countries. But at the same time, despite their differences, they continue to transact with each other. They have regular contact at different levels. They also try to sort out their problems, whether they're related to trade or peace and security in different parts of the world or climate change. Now, I think that recently the national security strategy of the United States was issued, and in that, China was not declared an adversary, which means that the relationship between these two powers would be transactional. Now, if they can trade with each other and they can, despite the differences, they can have a relationship, a workable relationship, Pakistan should not be overly worried or concerned about an imbalance in its relationship with Washington and Beijing. The reason is that China is a very big country. China would not be worried if any of the countries in the neighborhood tilts to this side or that side. But Pakistan is a special friend, a very close ally, and therefore, and we trust each other. We call our relationship all-weather relationship. And
That you are mentioning China, in fact.
yes, did I say United States?
No, in fact, you didn't say
No,
either
I mean,
of the two.
no. I meant to say China. China and
Okay.
Pakistan have very close ties, and we call this relationship all-weather relationship. Now, all-weather relationship is underpinned by trust. So this is the most crucial and critical part of our partnership. China recently received Narendra Modi, and we were not upset about it. And similarly, uh, when we get closer to the United States of America, it is seen as a plus by China. Why? Because there won't be any volatility in China's immediate neighborhood. So, this discussion about keeping a balance between our two sets of relationships with the PRC, People's Republic of China, and the United States of America, I see it as academic because no concerns have been raised either in Beijing or in Washington. It's a favorite subject, though, for the media.
Yeah, that's good. Now, please tell me that there was an agreement, uh, in fact, that was being facilitated by the United States of America. Our Prime Minister was there in um Egypt, but unfortunately, the Israelis kept on violating the agreement time and again, and they are still killing the Palestinians. So they are not concerned about the agreement that they signed, or I mean, the Americans were there to represent the Israelis in that conference. So, do you think that the Middle Eastern countries, especially the countries like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE, and then naturally Pakistan is a very important part of it, they can ask the Americans to implement, the decisions that was made during that time?
The situation is very complex. As you said, that Israel had made some promises to the United States of America, and in good faith, the United States of President Trump had mediated between the two sides and come up with this 20-point formula. And everybody was hoping that this plan would be implemented methodically. But there have been many disruptions because the Israeli leadership and Knesset are hell-bent on stopping the Palestinians from getting independent statehood. So there's illegal settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory are a step in that direction. Now the question arises, do the Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar, do they have sufficient clout and heft vis-a-vis Washington to influence its decisions in regard to support to Israel's illegal actions? And I'm skeptical about that because Israel has very strong influence in Washington. In fact, I mean, it's kind of a cardinal principle that you cannot speak against Israel at all in U.S. Congress, within the administration, or even in the media. I mean, of course, but still, there you would see that it is very difficult to take on Israel or implement that peace plan in letter and spirit.
How you see the coming new year, the foreign policy of Pakistan? Do you think that it will help Pakistan to attract the FDI, I mean, foreign direct investment into Pakistan, or it would be only having the visits, by our top leadership, both the civilian as well as the military?
Well, the year 2025 has been a good year for Pakistan in terms of its military strength or demonstration of its military strength vis-a-vis India, which called itself invincible and projected itself as a very, very powerful, muscular nation. So Pakistan succeeded militarily. Second, we succeeded diplomatically, because after the May War, Pakistan's prestige, Pakistan's stock rose very high in all the capitals. And then the world investors, I mean, foreign investors, they have also started taking interest in Pakistani markets. These include critical minerals, also oil and gas, exploration, also renewables, alternate energy, and there are many other areas, for instance, I mean, agriculture and IT, new technologies. All of these are on the table, and then the world investors are taking interest in Pakistan's market. It's a big market, 250 million people, growing middle class, young population. So they see a big consumer market here. And we are interested in joint ventures, as a matter of fact, not just importing technology or importing goods and services, but in fact making Pakistan an industrial hub and prepare it for food processing, also modernization of agriculture and so on. We have these multiple goals that we want to fulfill. What I'm saying is that we have crossed a threshold in 2025, and the year 2026 should be the year of fruition. All the preparation that we have made here in Pakistan in terms of economic reforms and restructuring of our economy, rethinking of our entire geoeconomic design. I think that this should lead to some breakthrough in 2026. In international politics, such opportunities are very transient. So you have to seize the moment seize the opportunity. So the onus is on us that yes, we have come out of a period of relative isolation, particularly in the United States of America and European capitals, but the Gulf is supportive. In fact, this partnership is a dream come true. United States, Pakistan, and Gulf countries working together. So I would say that if we persevere in our efforts, the coming year should be a good year for Pakistan. The aim is to make Pakistan strong economically. If we have economic strength, if we invest in human development, we would be able to make our mark in the comity of nations.
Do you think that until we have a political stability inside the country, and until there's the economy of the country, I mean the GDP of the country, as the growth rate is around 5% or maybe a 4%, but we are less than for last many years, it was 2 point something. So do you think in such a situation, we may have a good, the people welcome us everywhere, but practically speaking, a lot of Pakistanis, they are inside the country, are jobless, and they are moving away from the country. So what is your suggestion, how we can improve our political stability inside the country as well as the economics, so that we should have a good foreign policy and successful foreign policy?
You've raised quite a few points, and I would like to start with migration. Migration is a global phenomenon. In fact, people see economic opportunities. These are economic migrants who are moving from one country to the other, from Central Europe to Western Europe, from Southern Europe to the Upper Europe. So you would see this movement even in the continental Europe. Similarly, there are waves of migrants going to the United States and in other parts of the world. So this is not peculiar to Pakistan. And even if you provide the best possible living standards in Pakistan, people would move out, because now the international market has become very interactive, and people can, somebody graduating from Pakistan, if he sees an opportunity in Singapore, he or she would move there. So we should not be overly worried about it, but your point is valid that there should be job creation. And the real ticking bomb is, in fact, that more than 3 or 30 million children are out of school. So that's a time bomb, that's a ticking time bomb. And so we must pay attention to that. We should also invest massively in human development, holistic human development. And then you correlated economic performance with political stability. I would say that parliamentary democracies are very messy, very divisive in all parts of the world, in all countries. As a matter of fact, look at the political divisions in the United Kingdom, which is the mother of all democracies in the world, or even in the United States, which is the oldest democracy in the sense that they started their journey 250 years ago. So we are evolving. I would say that political stability and political solidarity is a good thing. And we should have a minimum threshold. And all the political parties and political forces should develop the maturity to have a common correlative or a metaphor to understand what our objectives are. And in parliamentary democracies, there would be sharp divisions, no matter what you do. There'd be coalitions. In Pakistan, we have aspired to have two-party system, but there are multiple parties which are active in Pakistan. So, but your question is whether it directly affects economic performance. I would say that the political stability should be there, a minimum threshold should be there. And the second, continuity of policies, predictability in the decision, predictability of the continuity of the decisions which are taken by one regime followed by another government, because that boosts the confidence of investors. And if there's too much volatility, particularly macroeconomic volatility, then the investors shy away. So we should work on all fronts, but I would say that whoever is in power must focus on economy in a holistic sense, which includes education, which includes alleviation of poverty, which includes human development indicators, which includes investment, which means industrial and agricultural reforms, so that we are not respected only as a strategic partner, but also sought for economic partnerships and economic collaboration.
Finally, please tell me that can we survive without IMF as a country?
IMF doesn't come to us, we go to IMF. So if we have our house in order, then we would not need to go to IMF. Balance of payments and depreciation currency and other macroeconomic indicators, when they are volatile, then of course, and we can't domestically raise sufficient revenue, then we have to go to the IMF. And I think this should come to an end. In fact, as a diplomat, when I started my service and I attended an envoys conference, they had already started these IMF programs at that time. And at that time, there was an agreement, there was a determination that this should be, or that should be, the last IMF program for Pakistan. But when I retired,
After how many years?
After several decades, we still are with the IMF. And this is unacceptable because Pakistan has very
So you suggest that our house is not in order economically?
Of course it is not. Otherwise, our growth rate should be between 6 to 7% right now. And the past year was good. There's no doubt about that. Our GDP also increased. It has increased to 410 billion according to the Economic Survey of Pakistan. But we should be, our GDP, nominal GDP right now should be $1 trillion. That's Pakistan's potential, given the human capital that we have, given the fertile land that we have, the industrial infrastructure that we built over the decades, all the financial instruments we have here in Pakistan. So I think that we can do much better.
Finally, it was the last question, but finally, as a diplomat, when you are sitting in front of the other countries, you know, if the country economy is not strong and we rely on the friends and international financial institutions, so do you feel or do you felt, you know, kind of uncomfortable while talking to the other countries? Had you a kind of experience?
Well, it depends on where you are. If you are in the United Nations, Pakistan is a very respected country because we have very accomplished and talented diplomats, and they represent the country very effectively. In Geneva, in New York, in Vienna, in Nairobi, or in any other part of the world, wherever there are multilateral meetings, Pakistan dominates. Pakistan's voice is heard, and we are good craftsmen because we help people with consensus building, also negotiations. I myself chaired several processes. So there, Pakistan's prestige is very high. When you are in the big capitals, Beijing or Washington, of course, or in the Gulf countries, and when you ask them for money, although they're your friends and they will give that money to you, or they will defer payments on oil, or they will roll over the credit, the loans that they have given to you. But it's still embarrassing. So it's also embarrassing because Pakistan has so much potential. Pakistan is seen as a leader in the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, also in the international community. We have done so much in international peacekeeping. So I think that I have honestly responded to your question. There are countries where probably this question doesn't arise, for instance, Malaysia or Indonesia or Japan. But when we go to the, in addition to IMF, when we go to the lenders of last resort, like China or Saudi Arabia or UAE or Qatar or at times Turkey, that may be embarrassing for our political leaders as well. But I think that I'm confident that given the ideological basis and the economic coordinates that we have, Pakistan is bound to rise. And Pakistan, this is the prediction of the World Bank. They published a report, is Pakistan at 100, which means Pakistan by the year 2047. I think that we should be amongst the top 10 economies. And as we were discussing earlier, we have seen a turning point in 2025. Let's make the prediction of the World Bank a reality by 2047.
Ambassador Sardar Masood Khan, I'm very grateful for your time. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a pleasure to talk to you.